Alright, so before we move forward with creating APIs, let me take a moment to brief on what is an API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. It is a mediator that allows the applications to communicate between each other. API takes a request from a client, works on a business logic, or maybe it communicates with the database, and then it processes the data and returns back to the client in the form of response. Let me try with an example. I am in a restaurant with my order and the order will be prepared in the kitchen. Now how do I send my order in the kitchen and get the food delivered to me? In that case, I want someone to communicate between me and the kitchen. That's where the waiter comes in who takes the order from me, sends it to the kitchen, and when the food is prepared, delivers the food back to the table. In the above scenario, I am the user, kitchen is the server where food is prepared, and waiter is the API which takes the request, sends it to the kitchen, and then delivers the response in the form of food. So this is the brief of what an API is and how it works. We have two main types of API protocols, that is SOAP and the REST API. The main difference between these two is that the SOAP is an API protocol which is built with XML format. Users can send and receive responses in XML format only. It follows strict rules and advanced security that requires more bandwidth, whereas the REST API with its lightweight architecture and better performance can deliver content in multiple formats such as HTML, JSON, XML, and even plain text. Now, why do we need an API? API helps us to make the code separation between client and server. This way, the server is never exposed to the client. API can make the development easier. For example, once we have created an API, we can integrate to different systems like web applications, mobile applications, etc. As this will reduce the time of development because you just have to create a UI and integrate the API. The best example of this is Google API, Payment Gateway API, etc. So if you are developing an application where you want to implement some payment gateway, you take the help of the API, you make a call from the client application and your job is done. At the same time, because it is on the server, it is not exposed to the client. Well, there are many other benefits in context with business process, flexibility, scalability, which we are not discussing here, at least at this point of time. There are 4 types of basic request methods that can be made to API. That is, from client, when the request is sent, there can be 4 basic types, though there are other types, but to know at the moment, these 4 are the most important types of requests. The first one is the GET or the GET request, which is used to fetch the data to get the data from the server. The second is PUT or nowadays patch, which is used to update information, update a record or maybe a field. PUT actually deals with the entire record, whereas the patch updates a field. All these things we will be able to understand as we proceed further. Third one is POST, which is used to create or even modify an information. And the last one is delete, and the word itself says what it does. So this is some brief information about what is an API.